You work hard to keep your family healthy. You eat clean, stay active, ask questions, and want the freedom to make the best decisions for their healthcare. So why does the traditional system still feel so expensive and disconnected from actual care? Crowd Health is different. Built for families, entrepreneurs, and independent-minded people, Crowd Health is a community of more than 28,000 members helping fund each other's medical bills directly without restrictive networks or corporate middlemen standing in the way. Over 40,000 medical bills have already been funded. It's not health insurance. It's a simpler, more human way to pay for healthcare. You choose any doctor you want. Plus, a dedicated care advocate helps you navigate every step of the way. Because communities take better care of each other than corporations do. If you've ever felt frustrated with the traditional system, it's time to see why thousands of people are choosing something different. Learn more at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com.
Hey, former friendly hello! Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for Coast to Coast Hoops with myself, Greg Hoops Peterson, now part of the Veason Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you. A two-part chat today with one of our good friends, Ryan McIntyre, who does such amazing work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We saw some big news over the past week with Michigan having to move on from Dusty May as he goes to the Dallas Mavericks. What does this mean for them? What does this mean for Michigan? Can Mike Boynton be successful at Michigan? Do they fall down sort of the hierarchy that we've got within the conference as well? As I really thought that there was a big three entering into the season in Michigan, Michigan State, and Illinois. They're still my top three, but it's now Michigan a little bit of a peg lower than those other two. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about camaraderie with these mid-major teams, something that is very rare in this day and age. A lot of schools, they get poached by the transfer portal. There are some that have been able to do a great job in terms of maintaining their own. We're going to talk about that with Ryan a little bit more in part 2 of this conversation. And if you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Coast to Coast Hoops, you are able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. And if you do have a question, comment, segment idea, whatever you for this podcast, you have one or two ways we'll fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter. So as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way, that is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever we'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And I do beg with you, I do plead with you, please do send in these Twitter/X questions. Lets me know what you want to hear a little bit more of here in the off season, and helps things go by a little bit faster as well, because we do have a long time before we get games back in our lives, but can't take any time off because we've got 366 teams to break down, and conference preview podcasts are still rolling out. I plan on doing the Coastal Conference preview within the next few days. We're right through 5 conference previews and started that up in like early to mid-June, so we're doing well there. So we've got another one on tap within the next few days, but what's on tap today? A great chat with our good friend Ryan McIntyre. He's over there at the College Experience with our good friend Kobe Dant, a part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. For those that love West Virginia, well, Ryan's your guy as well. He does the Ryan and Rush show that is dedicated all to West Virginia athletics, and obviously had a great time over at Omaha a few weeks ago with them making a run to the College Baseball World Series. And additionally for Ryan, he was on the coaching staffs of both South Carolina and West Virginia as well. So he always brings a great perspective. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Moneyline_Max, spelled MAC. And Ryan, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Greg, appreciate you having me. Let's talk some college hoops.
Absolutely. And in college basketball, typically in late June, we don't get ourselves a lot of bombshells or anything like that. But boy, oh boy, did we have one this year, as just before the NBA draft, Dusty May, he accepts the job with the Dallas Mavericks, leaving Michigan at the 23rd hour. And just how do you take a look at things for Michigan moving forward? Because as of right now, we have not seen anyone enter in the transfer portal. They're still going to have like 3 weeks and change if they decide that they want to change their mind. And I think that is a very interesting time here, because there are still some teams with a roster spot or two and some money, like a Kentucky, but at the same time, a lot of these teams were sort of preparing with what they had on the roster already.
Yeah, Greg, I mean, kind of crazy that a sitting national championship head coach coming off a natty is leaving for the NBA, but I think it speaks to the times. The college basketball has changed with the NIL and transfer portal. A lot of guys just want to go less distractions, I guess, and go to the NBA route, or I guess it's more basketball. But Michigan, I think, will be in a fine spot. Mike Boynton gets promoted. I think they'll keep their culture, identity, and all that. So I think Michigan will be fine. I'm interested to see how they are year 2 after Dusty May, though.
Yep, I think so as well. And how do you take a look at the, shall we say, coaching downgrade, as much as I hate to call it, with Mike Boynton as a coach? Because I know that there are so many people out there that regard him as a really good coach. They think the world of him, but let's call it what it is. It felt like it was underwhelming when he was at Oklahoma State. Long time they made the NCAA tournament was when Cade Cunningham was there. And even with Cade Cunningham, I felt like they should have done a little bit more. And that does have me feeling a little bit concerned about Michigan.
I hear that side of it, but I also remember he took over a program that had the NCAA sanctions. I don't know why anybody would self-report themselves, but back then they did. But yeah, I think it's a breath of fresh air. He goes over to Michigan, sees a different side of things, gets a step back, get away from the pressure of being a head basketball coach. And we see this so many times. Stint 2 or a second stop for one of these head coaches is better than stop 1, just because they learn from their failures. They get a new view on things, a new way of doing things, new culture. I think Mike Boynton's going to do a good job. I think he's a good basketball coach, and I'm interested to see if he can continue it on and keep the job after this year.
Yep, absolutely. As we do have our good friend Ryan McIntyre. He does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and he's joining me right here on Coast to Coast Hoops. And in terms of the hierarchy of the Big Ten, I really thought that there were 3 main teams prior to this move in Michigan, Michigan State, and Illinois at the top. And I still think that it's those 3 teams. But do you think that perhaps the likes of Illinois and Michigan State should be given a little bit of a leg up over Michigan? Just because I do think, once again, when you lose a coach like a Dusty May, that really does have an impact. And I do think that it will be felt this year.
Yeah, I thought Sparty was going to be the team to be coming into the year. Michigan had to replace their whole front court. Illinois, they're going the Team Euro route once again. I think that once again, that'll be the top tier. You got Purdue with Matt Painter and company. They'll reload like they always do. I think Michigan's a top 4, top 5 team. So interested to see how they come off a national championship with the coaching change as well. It's going to be a fun Big Ten race, Greg.
Yep, it certainly is going to be, and I am very much here for it because I do think that in the Big Ten, there's a little bit more of a divide between the haves and the have-nots in this conference than what we've seen as well. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but I do feel like more of these Tier 2 teams have taken a step back. I'm very curious to see what Nebraska does this season. Those teams that came in from the Pac-12 just have not really been able to show themselves, and I think Ohio State, when it's all said and done, is going to be in for a big year, but I still need to see it to believe it out of the Diebler sort of regime as well.
Funny that we bring up Ohio State because obviously you got Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State's been up and down. I know they get to the NCAA tournament. TCU beats them. Kind of a disappointing loss, I think, with the way that they came all the way back. So, yeah, Big Ten, definitely the middle is going to be solid once again. They'll get a bunch of teams into the NCAA tournament. They finally broke their national championship drought. So we'll see if they can start building some momentum like they have on the football side of things.
No doubt about it, as we do have Ryan McIntyre. He does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, joining me right here on Coast to Coast Hoops. And I do think that it's going to be interesting to see what we get for the rest of the offseason, because I do think that the bombshell stories, those are all done. And if we do get any others, that would be absolutely amazing, because I remember last year with like the St. Joe's coaching search and everything like that, that did help us out quite a bit. But that said, I do think that we've got ourselves just a little bit more clarity with regards to these rosters. And is there anything that you might be taking a look at that could cause you to be a little bit more stock up, stock down on some of these teams as we do move forward?
No, good question. I think every year I'm doing the show with you, Greg, throughout the offseason and doing team previews, conference previews. We learn a little bit more in this era. At first, I thought that we thought one thing and then it turned into another thing. I value teams that bring back experience. I look at what Florida was able to do 2 years ago. Last year, Michigan as well. And I just think that teams that bring back experience and then they add a piece or two, like the NBA route with free agency, it really translates to winning. And the older you are, the better you are. I think the days of winning with freshmen are pretty much gone. I think you can get to a Sweet 16, but I don't think you're going to be able to get over the hump. And we've seen that with Duke the last couple of years.
Yep, no question about it. And with Duke as well, even though I love John Shire and what he's been able to do, because I think that, given the circumstances, he's been a fine coach. For everyone that's looking for John Shire to be fired, I feel like he's done an admirable job. I don't think that he's necessarily the issue, but with any coach trying to be able to fill those shoes in those sorts of big spot, it takes a little bit of time to be able to get over the hump. So I do agree with you. And obviously with Duke, they've been bringing in more freshmen than a lot of these other teams here over the last few seasons as well. But I'm so glad that you talk about experience, valuing teams that bring back a lot as well. And I want to dive in with Ryan a little bit more on this on the flip side. Talk about the Ivy League that is going to be bringing back so much experience from a season ago. Conferences like the Missouri Valley that have quite a few teams with some good chemistry in there, and some of these mid-major programs that have done a nice job in terms of bringing back their own from a season ago. That's on the flip side right here on Coast to Coast Hoops with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Side edge this college basketball season? Well, VSiN experts use CBB Analytics, the most comprehensive college basketball analytics platform in the world. See injury impact, on and off data, clutch time performance metrics, first versus second half splits, and so much more. Utilize the promo code of VSiN, that is VSIN, to get $30 off and find your betting edge over at cbbanalytics.com. That is cbbanalytics, all one word.com. For anyone that is new to VSiN, well, I wish you a friendly hello. This is an attention to anyone that is new to VSiN because you're able to get some free stuff with our daily newsletter. It's a great way to catch up on everything that's happening in the sports betting world. It's delivered straight to your inbox every single morning. VSiN's newsletter offers picks, data, strategies for the day's betting menu, and so much more. Sign up for free today over at VSiN.com/newsletter. That's VSIN.com/newsletter, and start receiving your free newsletter tomorrow morning. That is VSIN.com/newsletter. Stay ahead of the game and bet smarter with VSiN. And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for Coast to Coast Hoops with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We're back here with our good friend Ryan McIntyre. He does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast. I work with our good friend Kobe Dant on the college experience. I know that he does a great job with the Ryan Rush Show. That's based all around West Virginia athletics. So we're going to veer away from the Big Ten, which obviously had the biggest headline of the week this past week in college basketball, and look a little bit more at some of these mid-major teams. That's a specialty that he does a very good job of. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Moneyline_Mac, spelled MACN. We were talking about it just before we hit the break. Liking a lot of these teams, that they've got a lot of chemistry, they bring back a lot of their own, and what conference does that better than the Ivy League? I was talking with our good friend Rocco Miller, and as per usual, the Ivy League, we always know that they're going to bring back a lot of experience because it's really hard to bring in guys via the transfer portal if you're the Ivy League, but I just take a look at some of these rosters. I think Princeton brings back pretty much every single minute from a season ago. You've got a lot of, shall we say, camaraderie with the teams like Dartmouth and company, and I think that's a conference that could really be sneaking up on some of these power conference teams when it comes to the non-conference portion of the season.
Well, Greg, we saw Yale beat Auburn after they won the SEC. Yeah, the Ivy League's getting older and older. Cornell's a good program. Harvard's obviously a good program. And they continue the momentum. The Ivy League, I think that they are in the right direction. They have money in this NIL era. I know it's difficult because of the academic standards and all the restrictions. They got to battle with that. But for the most part, I like the Ivy League.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I think that that's so key to take a look at because I remember we were talking on this podcast last offseason, and I was posing to you that I thought that Navy could be able to make some noise out there in the Patriot League because they were returning like 90% of their minutes the most out there in all of college basketball, and lo and behold, they dethroned Colgate, and I do think that that's just such a big dynamic because with a lot of these mid-major programs, they don't necessarily bring back a lot of minutes, they don't necessarily bring back a lot of talent, and that's why I do highlight some of these teams. Like we just mentioned the Ivy League there about a minute or so ago. I know that there are a few teams out there in the Missouri Valley Conference. They're going to be bringing back a lot of chemistry. Like I think that Illinois Chicago is a team very much to look at. How much do you just take a look at teams being able to take a stride forward like in Illinois Chicago under Rob Hassan in year 3 as well? Because I think those are the coaches that are really under a little bit of pressure, and that's a year where they really want to try to get over the hump as well.
I mean, that was a nice year for Illinois Chicago last year, Greg, going to the Missouri Valley title game. They've done a really good job in the portal, adding pieces. I'm looking forward to seeing the Flames next year. I keep looking at teams at the mid-major level like a High Point that I know has the money, the resources. They won an NCAA tournament game against Wisconsin this year. They teased and almost beat Arkansas. I think those are the mid-major programs that are really going to thrive in this era. I think you can throw Liberty in there as well. We know how much money they have. So interested to see how they continue this momentum.
Yep, no doubt about it. And how about you just take a look at the dynamic of some of these changing teams out there in the mid-major ranks as well? Because you mentioned the addition of money. That's why, in my opinion, we've seen the Big South really be able to rise up. It's not, in my opinion, just High Point, though. Obviously, they're main of them, but Longwood has been throwing a little bit of money into their program. Even a team like a Presbyterian, they're going to be bringing back a lot of minutes, and I'm actually quite bullish on Presbyterian coming into the season. Then out there in the Southland as well, that's one mid-major that I feel like out of all the conferences, they've been able to have one of the biggest rises of any of these conferences, because we're seeing these teams like an Incarnate Word, for example, with that oil money out there in the great state of Texas, and they've really been able to do something.
Yeah, the Southland, I think, has really raised their floor more than any other conference, to your point, over the last 5 years. McNeese obviously is invested. Stephen F. Austin coming back into that league. You got IDub as well. You got Lamar. You got Northwestern State, Southeast Louisiana. You got really good teams in New Orleans as well that I feel like are investing more. The good coaches as well. Like, that used to be a one-bid league where Stephen F. would just go 18-0 or 20-0. Same with McNeese. Not anymore. You got to earn it, and you really got to fight to get to the NCAA tournament, because all these programs are investing in their programs, and it's great for college hoops, I think.
Yep, it is really great for college hoops, as our good friend Ryan McIntyre does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, joining me right here on Coast to Coast Hoops. And one other thing that I do want to take a look at as well is that we've seen a lot of conference realignment, and obviously the biggest of them being the Pac-12, but this new United Conference, it brings in a few teams from the WAC, it brings in a few teams from like the Atlantic Sun, all those different conferences. And how do you take a look at that conference? Because there are some very interesting styles that are going to be out there, like Tarleton, who was always a very interesting team out there in the WAC. And then additionally as well, I take a look at a team like a Little Rock that brings in Travis Ford, and I think that they're a team that's very much hiding in plain sight right now.
Yeah, Little Rock's always going to be interesting. Get Travis Ford. He always had players at Oklahoma State and UMass as well. I'm looking forward to this new look league, a little merger here with the two conferences. I think you've had quality mid-major teams over the years that have either won NCAA tournament games or nearly won NCAA tournament games. So a new dynamic that we'll have to handicap here. And, Greg, more travel, because that's just what we need in the sport.
Oh, absolutely, because it's not enough when you have teams from Los Angeles heading on out to the great state of New Jersey, because that's exactly what we all picture, the Rutgers versus UCLA rivalry. That's just how John Wooden drew it up, absolutely. And when it comes down to it, I think that we're in for a really great season. And Ryan, you're doing such a great job in terms of being able to cover it all, because I know that you're over there at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network with our good friend Kobe Dant, and you guys night in and night out are looking at college football, college basketball, and so much more. And additionally, you're a man that loves West Virginia. They had a nice run out there in Omaha for the College Baseball World Series, and I know you do the Ryan and Rush show as well. So let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yes, appreciate it, Greg. Yeah, we're getting closer to college football, which means we're getting closer to college hoops. So go check out the college experience year-round, 138 team previews. We got coaching interviews, and me personally, I'm at Moneyline_Mac. Appreciate you, Greg.
Always great to be able to get Ryan aboard every single time he joins me. He lends such great insights. Did so once again today. So big thanks to Ryan for joining me on Coast to Coast Hoops, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. And if you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Coast to Coast Hoops, you're able to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you do have one or two ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters only mean does not matter. So as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And I'm indeed with you guys every single day here on this podcast. We've gone over 2,400 straight days without a missed podcast. So that is a streak that is going to be living on, as with 366 college basketball teams, there is no time to rest, because during the season, you're getting picks and analysis on every single game, every single day. And here in the off season, taking a look at the news and notes in college basketball, trying to get on great guests, be able to get amazing perspectives for this upcoming season. And the conference preview podcasts, they roll on. We're through 5 of them thus far. The Coastal Conference, I'm going to try to have that one up for you in the next few days. I'm going to effort for tomorrow. No guarantees there, but I'm going to try to have that up within the next few days. So appreciate you tuning in today. I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.